I think it's so important to work with buyers because although it's tough, you learn a lot. And I don't think you can be a good listing agent if you don't have good experience on the buy side.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the Closing with Corey podcast. Very special one today. I'm going to get right into it. I have Claudia Roesing with me from Signature Realty. I followed Claudia, I don't know, a few months ago, and you're very persistent with your social media presence, and it was something that I think is inspiring to see. You're a younger agent, so I reached out, and here we are. So I'm excited to talk a little bit, talk real estate, get to know you a little bit, how you got into the business. We were talking a little bit before off camera, but yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How you doing today? Good?
I'm good.
We both came from listing. You had a video or an appointment?
Taking a video for a listing.
Nice.
So for social media.
Yeah. You were talking, but I wanna get it on to camera as far as obviously just your beginnings in this lovely world of real estate. I know that you said
Crazy world.
I know, seriously. When did you get licensed? First and foremost?
So I'm a COVID agent. I got my license in COVID, like I feel like many people did.
Yes.
2021 started out part-time. 2022 I was also doing it part-time, and 2023 was my first full-time year.
Yeah.
So I've been in the business a little over 3 years now.
And then when you were part-time, what was your other job?
I was working in banking. I was working at JP Morgan Chase.
Okay.
I was doing compliance, so like corporate.
Nice. Awesome. I'm going to leave this in anyway, but just so you know, if there's anything we talk about that you're like, afterwards, you can always say, hey, let's cut that out.
I don't care. I just realized I was looking at the camera. I'm so used to looking at the camera, and then I'm talking to you.
Keep looking at the camera, whatever your natural
You're going to edit
is.
this out. You're going to edit this out, right?
Or we might keep it in, just to have it in there. But awesome. So you were going back and forth, and then for me, I remember because I worked for a DJ company in Saddlebrook, and then I was doing real estate part time, and I think that probably my third or fourth year in, when I was trying to do part time real estate, and then 75% of my time was on the other company. I realized like I had to make a change, and I also realized how much business was picking up from my real estate side, especially when I was putting like the energy into it.
Yeah.
So was there like a certain moment that you were like, okay, I know that I'm going to take the leap over to the dark side?
The dark side it is. So I think it's like really wise for any new agent to like start having a part-time job and doing real estate on the side. And any agent that always asks me, like, that's something I always kind of recommend.
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to feel out the business. Is it for you? Can you make money? Things like that. I was working full-time job, and for me, I think I knew I had to leave when I literally, like, 1 month I had like 7 closings. It was like June of 2022, and I had like 7 closings. I was like, I don't even have enough work. I don't have enough off days at work to take off. Like, my boss is going to think something's wrong with me. Like I can't even take a vacation, like a 1-week vacation, because all the closings are like, throughout the whole month.
Of course.
So I was like, this just doesn't, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So at that point I was like, you know what, I'm busy enough. I also told myself that like once I hit a certain number, like once I hit 6 figures and exceeded my other income by at least 2 times, I'd feel comfortable enough to leave. So, I definitely like planned for it. I could have probably left a little sooner. I had the itch to leave even like a little before that. And then I was like, I really want to buy a 2-family. I'm also a real estate investor, and I bought my first property at a young age. And I was like, okay, I need the income for 2 years. Let me stick this out. Stayed at that job, closed on the 2-family, and then quit like in a week.
Yeah.
So everything kind of lined up perfectly.
Yeah. So it was calculated.
Definitely.
My experience wasn't as calculated as that, but it was definitely to the point of, just like you said, it got to a point where I realized the return that I was getting from real estate, and I still loved the DJ aspect, and I was a DJ for a company like doing weddings and stuff. So I still love that aspect, but I slowly just started to shift my passion into real estate. And I think it's doing it full time, like, you're going to get better results. Obviously, you just have more time to put into it. Like, my numbers doubled when I, last year in 2023 compared to the previous years. So obviously it showed that, like, when I have extra time to put in, I get the results out of it. That's awesome. And I think, like you said too, I agree. I have a bunch of people that reach out to me that are like, I want to get involved in real estate. And I think we joked about it when we were talking on the phone, to where they see it from the social media aspect, and they see it as like that selling sunset. I just want to show
So
properties. I
glamorized,
want
yeah.
to, just do that. And then I do agree with having almost just like kind of like testing the waters a little bit, because real estate really is not for everybody. And I think that like when I was at a point when I was a little bit, I was a bit of a newer agent, I was almost trying to sell the idea to people where it's like, oh, real estate is great. You should try and join it. And then I think after you start having like those experiences in real estate, you realize that I don't think everybody can handle this, because there's a lot of the behind the scenes that happens outside of just the
Yeah.
really cool property videos that they see.
Yeah, I mean, like, I talk about this all the time. The barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah.
Literally anyone with a pulse can get a license. But actually having a business that is consistently growing year after year, it takes a certain personality. I think not everyone has a personality to be in sales and real estate. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't see. Like, people don't see the amount of hours behind the phone. I used to stand in the 90-degree heat and like knock on doors and have sweat all on my back, and like I'd be shaking pulling up to somebody's house, but I was like, Claudia, you got to do it. Get over
Yeah.
your fear, like people don't see the money it takes to market yourself. I mean, like, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just like opening a door and here I am making,
Yeah.
multiple six figures a year.
For sure.
I wish it was that easy.
And like that, even like to go off of what you just said, as a new agent, I know that I face a bunch of struggles. Like one of my first deals that I talked about was actually on a multifamily that had tenants that were still living there. One side, like it was
always fun.
It was one of those that like so many things happen on that transaction that don't happen on a normal transaction that
Yeah.
I dealt with all on like one of my very, very first ones. So I realized I'm like, wow, there's a lot that happens here.
You just got thrown into the fire.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't learn that in the book.
No.
Right?
Yeah, of course not. What did you like kind of as a new agent and also as like a young agent, as you were saying before too, like what were some of those struggles that you had to deal with? Like even like from like your first like listing appointment or your first like buyer showing, like what type of hurdles I feel like did you have to kind of overcome?
I think at first, like, so I was 23, like I was 22, 23, turning 23 when I got my license. So I was relatively young, basically 23 starting out. And yeah, I was younger, so I was insecure in the beginning. Like, are people going to take me seriously? I'm like younger than I'm walking into a listing appointment. I'm younger than like some of their children.
Yeah.
But I think like it all comes down to mindset. Like, I quickly changed my mindset and realized that like my age did not mean anything because I knew I could bring value.
Yeah.
And so instead of having that negative mindset, I was like, how am I going to use this to my advantage? Well, I have a lot of time. I have a lot of time to dedicate to you, the client, the business, because I don't really have any other obligations. I'm young, I don't have kids like or anything like that. I also felt like I had a more unique young perspective and approach to marketing, like social media, like things that some older agents just don't understand. And even if they try, it just like doesn't look right.
It doesn't translate to how it should.
No. Yeah. And, so I started thinking about like how I could bring value. And so with that, like, I think just gave me more confidence. And really, like, to be successful, I think in this business or any business, it's literally just your confidence.
Yeah.
Like how you walk into the room. Like, I just went on a listing appointment like 2 days ago. It was like a $2 million house, like in an area I've never sold in. But like, I was so nervous. But before I opened that door, I told myself, I was like, Claudia, you be the most confident person. Like, act like you've sold 100 homes in that town. And like, I think I nailed it. And I think I got it. But like, I think like it's just good to remember, like, even as agents, we're doing a lot of deals, hundreds of deals, like, 10, 20, 30 million in volume. Like, we're still like, every day is a new thing. Like, we're always going into new markets. We're always learning. We're always trying different things. So just like, be confident and have fun with it.
As you were talking, the main thing that I struggled with, and I guess it's something that a lot of people struggle with, is just that confidence. Yeah. And I think that it got to a point where it was the exact same. I remember going into listing appointments in the way beginning, and I felt like what I had to do to showcase my value was to provide them information. Mm-hmm. So instead of having the approach as far as like, let me just showcase me and what I'm going to be able to provide for you and everything that comes along with me, I was like, let me showcase like market stats and predictions.
You were very analytical.
Very, very analytical. To a point.
The least analytical person.
Well, I've turned into that because what would happen is I would get into these situations where I had 7 or 8 pieces of paper in front of me and I didn't even remember what I was talking about. Yeah. And I'm looking at these things and I'm like, if I'm confused, they're lost before I even started this portion of it. So with in time and also with rejection, I think that I was actually able to build that confidence, because the worst thing that someone could say is no. And does it, suck to not get that listing? Yes. But I also think too, to what your point was like, I was actually able to say, okay, wait, like I do provide a lot of value, because number one, I care a lot as far as whatever your situation is, like what your outlook and view is on the timeline, along with the best possible approach like to market your home. To your point, like anybody during the COVID time, obviously no offense to you, because you're not one of the agents that came in
I made it out
then
alive.
left. Yeah, exactly.
A lot of them left.
Was able to list a home and was able to get a line of people outside.
Anybody could list and sell a home.
Anybody.
Yep. 2023 was different though. Last year
100%.
was very challenging.
Yeah. I think that with those challenges became like my mindset switched up, but because I got licensed 8 years ago, but I think just with the...
What was that, 2015?
I think so. I can't do the math
14.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Around that time.
Yeah.
I had some rejections. I had some experiences. I had some deals fall through. And fortunately, like with all those negative experiences, I was able to have a more of a positive outlook on just the whole experience in itself. So like that's why like with time, my confidence grew. And then to your point, like I was able to walk in and say like, like I understand, and not to be like overconfident or cocky, but like I understand that like I can 100% be the best fit for you. You obviously have to, if we don't mesh personality wise, that's totally fine. If there's other things like, fees and all that type of stuff. But for the most part, it took a little bit of time, but I finally got that, that as well.
It takes time, but you figure it out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even with the appointments and even with trying to become consistent, I also struggled with figuring out like a good system for myself that worked. And I know that every day can't be the same, but like, do you have anything? Because I'm always curious with people that are very busy and as far as like schedules and as far as systems, like, is there anything that you have outside of just kind of just going crazy in a sense of just...
I'm kind of a hot mess.
A day-to-day type of thing.
People ask me all the time, they're like, I wish I can go on a day-to-day. Like it's a hot mess.
Maybe.
But I also think like it's hard to have a lot of structure in this business, because like you can get pulled in a different direction within minutes. Like my evening tonight from like 5 to 8 can look very different if I have 2 clients or multiple clients that reach out and say, this house just came up, I want to see it, or can you come on a listing appointment?
Right.
I'm going to be like, I'll be right there, right? Like I'll do anything to make sure that I can make the appointment. So I think, as you know, like we have to be flexible.
Yeah.
It's a crazy business, and the busier you get, you're getting pulled in more different directions, and structure is important. So something I'm still always working on.
Yeah.
It's like I think I'm a little bit of a hot mess. It works for me right now, but as you start growing, you have to start creating systems. And
maybe the hot mess mentality is just what happens in real estate, because a lot of successful agents, my mentor Jay, I had a similar question to him, and it was the same thing, to where you can have everything very calculated and organized as far as like a day by day and an hour by hour.
Yeah, like time blocking. No, that's not me. That actually gives me anxiety. I'm more of like, what do I feel like doing today?
Yeah.
And then I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
To me, it's got to come more organically. I have to enjoy doing it. I have to want to do it.
Yeah.
Like some people, I guess the structure, like the time blocking and all that works. But to me, it just like that feels almost a little too forced.
Yeah. I agree. And I think like not even to a sense of like time blocking, but even having like an overall idea as far as like, okay, maybe from 12 to 3, I'll do emails, or I'll follow up with this, or I'll do this. But then to your point, I can have one conversation that I think is going to be 5 minutes turn into like 55 minutes just because.
And then you get a million calls too after that.
Exactly. So there really isn't, I feel like, an actual system outside of the idea of what I've realized is to be adaptable to what's happening in front of me.
Yeah.
Because if I have my OCD kicking in and I'm like, okay, I have to do this at this time, that at this time, and we're going to do pictures for this day, we're going to do this for this day. And if I'm easily thrown off by that, my life is going to be just insane, only because that's a day-by-day situation that I have to deal with, as far as everything kind of being set up and then falling apart and then having to kind of like rebuild it and do that as much as I have to need to.
Adaptability is exactly what we have to do every day.
Yeah. I as a newer agent, and as far as like where I'm at, and like I don't even want to really talk too much as far as like competition wise, because that's not like the conversation. But how do you feel like real estate is changing? And I mean, you've been in it for a few years. So like I'm sure you've seen and you have enough experience to understand what it was like during COVID times, even like what it's like now. There was a huge shift there. So like what is your take just on like the state of real estate right now?
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think that there's opportunity in any kind of market. I think like 2023 was challenging for many people. I had my best year, but I like worked really hard for it.
Yeah.
And I keep telling myself, like, if I can do the numbers I did in 23, like, there's no reason I can't double that in 24. You know, because 23 was a challenging year, right? Rates were really high. There was no inventory. Nobody kind of knew what was happening or what was going to happen. There was a lot of skepticism on buyers' end.
Yeah.
But I feel like 2024 has, for me at least, like, I'm sure you can agree, started out pretty busy, much busier than last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the business has changed a lot for me since I first started. Like you said, in 2021, like during COVID, it was anybody with a pulse can sell a property, put it on the market, get 1 million people out the line, you know, many people at the door, and then open house sells the house, whatever.
Yeah.
But now I think like with the new lawsuit coming out and with more agents like exiting the market, you know, I think it's going to be good. Like I think the ones who are meant to be in the business will stand out.
Yeah.
And I think like the business is constantly evolving. Like you can even see like the way in which people marketed homes has changed. Like social media now, you see every realtor doing like a real vertical lens video. Like last year, that wasn't really a thing. I was kind of like just starting that, and then you know, people started, you know, people adapt. They follow the leader, what's trending and what works. And I'm always just trying to be like think of ways to be creative. And like what I love about this job, it really does allow me to be creative. I'm always like thinking, okay, what can I do outside the box that's different? No other agent has done. Whether it's a listing video or with like marketing, reaching sellers. What's like an interesting or different pitch that I can talk to somebody or get in front of somebody? So I think like individually, like as you know, in my business, I'm just always trying to be different. Yeah. Because there's so many of us.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like there's a lot, and there's like a core group of agents that, and nothing against them, but, you know, maybe have developed their own routines. Because I've realized, too, that whether it's like listing appointments or just showings with buyers, conversations, is like I almost have like my own personal script that I can kind of go back to, just because at this point, I've heard every question that these people are going to ask me so many times that I understand the way and the approach. Just the only thing that has to be different is trying to talk to people the way that like is going to be the best way that they can digest the information, because everyone's different as far as how they handle stress, how they handle certain situations, and that you want to be able to adapt to the people that you're working with.
And I feel like you work primarily more buyers, right?
A little bit. So I was like 30% listings, 70% buyers, probably about 4 years ago. And then I'm at about a 60-40, where 60 is listings now, 40% is buyers now.
Because that takes a lot of patience.
Buyers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like, that's one thing I told myself in 2023. I was like, I'm completely shifting my business to listings.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
So I think I was like, maybe like 70-30, like 70% listing, 30% buyers. But when I first started out, I was all buyers. And I think it's so important to work with buyers because although it's tough, you learn a lot. And I don't think you can be a good listing agent if you don't have good experience on the buy side. You know, understanding how buyers work. You get that transactional experience too with the buyers. I think that really helps you be a good listing agent. And I think it's a lot easier as a new agent to close buyer leads, you know, than to get listings. So yeah, I mean, like I think if you're starting out, that's probably a good tip, you know, like start with buyers. You'll learn a lot. It's going to be really hard, but once you close that deal, you'll feel super fulfilled. You'll definitely have learned a lot.
Right.
And you get some patience too in you. And then it helps you appreciate like the other deals that are easier, which are listings. I mean, let's be real. You get a beautiful house on a nice street, desirable. Like, you know, it's not easy, but it's going to be a lot. Your chances of closing that deal at least are going to be a lot higher.
I feel like what you said before too. When you're able to be on the listing side, you said a bunch of stuff, which is all good. So I'm trying to pick apart a couple of things.
Sorry, I talk really fast.
Which is good. The creative side comes to live on the listing side, because obviously on the buying side there's really almost only so much that you can do as far as the information that you're delivering, to where you can't really do too much there. But on the listing side, like it is a little bit easier, just because it's on my end, I'm sure you'll agree, is that's kind of where you can really shine through and show your own individuality as far as how you're going to market it and do certain things, and just have your own
and like
input
why
on
you're
it.
the best representative for that listing. And I think people also forget too, it's not even just like the creative aspect, because that's one whole thing, but it's also like the negotiation aspect. Like your sellers trusting you to like negotiate like their biggest asset, right? Like, do they trust that you have the knowledge, the confidence, the ability to be able to do that? Because I mean, like I've been on so many opposite sides of a transaction where I'm talking to the listing agent and I'm like, this person is leaving so much money on the table for their seller.
I thought the same thing.
And it's not even just like about how they marketed the home, because that was probably crappy too, but like even just, let's say you're in a market where you can sell it because it's no inventory, demand is high, the agent's getting interest or whatever, like just like the conversation, you can just tell like they're not protecting their client's asset. They just don't know how to negotiate. They don't know their information. They don't know the knowledge. They don't know the comps. They
also don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, they don't answer the phone. Like there's just so much.
Yeah.
So I just like, oh God, sometimes I'm just like, when I see those scenarios, and it happens a lot more often than it should, I just think to myself, I'm like, imagine the seller knew like this is what is happening behind the scenes for their listing.
Yeah. And I think to the point that you said before is that also like led into me being more confident, because I was also like, this guy or girl or whatever is terrible. And these people don't even realize it. And I would be able to, represent these people so much better. Because
that gave me a lot of confidence too. That actually that's a really good point. Even like when I started out, like once you start seeing like what other people in the competition are like and doing, it's like, wait a second.
And also too, like we don't have to obviously say names, but there is people that I see as when I first started, to where I don't want to say again competition, because we're in a competitive field, so no matter what, any other agent is going to be someone that you can potentially be going up against. But when I started seeing like some of these people like that, I started seeing a lot more and a lot more often and doing more business. And then to your point, then being able to have some experiences and having things like to compare it to. And I was like, okay, like I don't need to be self-conscious if I only close, 5 deals or however many deals. It really is like a transaction per transaction basis. That 100% was able to
like I think the numbers, all that helps. Like it's all added fluff, but like at the end of the day, like people want to work with people that they like. Like your personality shines through. You're genuine, you being genuine. It shines through, and like there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get business just in that way. Like let's just say you've never sold anything. Like we all start somewhere. We all start at zero. So like, what are you doing to make that person gain your trust? Well, maybe start out with having a good personality, good intentions, being genuine, and people reciprocate well to that.
I think too, like just like you said, the intentions thing is so important, because obviously you want to do what's best for your client. And I think like in the beginning, you almost as a new agent, you second guess yourself, because maybe you don't totally know what's best for your client just because you don't even know. But if you have the right intentions behind it, you really can't go wrong, whether you're asking questions for something or if you need to relay more information or get more information. Because I remember in my first couple of deals, I mean, I said this before on here, but I called Jay God knows how many times to ask him questions. And I mean, it was stuff that I probably should have known, but I was like, I'm not going to give you the wrong answer to this and then down the road something kind of fall back on me. So it was a lot of like me educating myself during that process.
Though. I still to this day, like I'll call a friend or a broker like, hey, I need help or I have a question. I mean, that's like also what's really cool about the business. Like we're always learning. There's always something new or different that pops up and like some crazy shit. And it's like, how do I handle this today?
Do you remember on the listing side, like your first rejection or your first whatever, like, didn't get that listing and kind of how that felt and then what you did?
I don't know if I've ever had a listing that I lost.
Wow.
I know, and I feel horrible saying that.
Well, cut out the whole part where I said that I lost all these listings and then just leave that.
No, I mean, I've had a lot of losses like in this business. Trust me.
No, of course.
I don't know.
Well, that's a good thing then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, I go in there and I'm like, sign this, please. Like today, I'm not leaving until you sign it. I mean, there's been instances where like, you go in and like they're not ready.
Yeah.
And then you kind of feel like they just had you there to, know what their home is worth because they want to get a compliment.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I'm pretty good at closing the deal.
That's awesome. What about any deals that, and if you say no to this too, we're going to just wrap it up. But what about any deals that obviously fell through?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like how I react has changed so much. Like just my personality too. Like I think I used to be a lot more reactive.
Same.
But like with each loss, like you just learn to like not be so reactive and just like, okay, take a step back. It is what it is.
Right.
How did I learn from this?
Yeah.
And just move on.
Yeah.
Like the more time you spend dwelling on it, you're losing an opportunity for another deal.
Right.
And like I think a lot of people too, like I think this is a good point to mention. Like people are always like, if something goes wrong, you reflect back and you're like, okay, what could have been better? What did I do right, wrong? But I also do the same when something goes right. So like, even when I get a listing, I'm like, okay, I got the listing, I'm happy, but like what could I have done better?
Yeah.
So I think like in both scenarios, there's always like room for opportunity to grow.
For sure. Yeah.
And like self audit and like, look back at what worked, what didn't.
Yeah. When I first started off and looking at like my losses, my gains, whatever, I think that I struggled the most with the peaks and valleys of real estate because there's times
1 minute you're like on a high, you're making so much money, and then oh my God, I think I had 1 month where I literally lost like $5 million worth of deals. Like that's a big commission. Do the math.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, but you know what? I'll get that next $5 million back in the next few months.
Yeah, but that probably took a little bit of time to mature to that mindset.
Oh yeah.
Because when I first lost my first few deals, like as they were going through the transaction, I was like, "This is it."
You're
like,
devastated. I know.
It was.
I mean, there are some days where I'm like, "That's it. I don't want to do this anymore." I think it happens to all of us. But then, like the next day, you wake up, you brush it off.
Right.
And most of the time, I feel like I'm also very solution oriented. So like one day, the whole world might feel like ending.
Yeah.
But I always just try to remind myself, like, most problems have a solution.
Yeah.
So like you can save deals. And if the deal really can't be saved, then like, you know what? That client, you'll find them something else, right?
Yeah.
Like that client's still there. And if they're not, maybe they're not meant to be. And that's something that like I am really starting to learn and remind myself, like not all clients are for you.
Yeah.
And like firing clients has been something that like I never thought I would do, but now it's like the most empowering thing I've ever done.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that takes time in the business to understand.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's such a great point because one of the lenders, Al, that I work with a lot, like that was a conversation that him and I have had multiple times in the sense of they're not even that not everybody, like not that you can't work with everybody, but that you're like my own like personal sanity as far as like
your mental health.
Like what I'm giving to certain situations, which at the end of the day, I'm always thinking, am I a good fit for this person? Am I a good fit for this person?
Or are they a good fit for you?
Exactly. So like once I started asking myself that question, that changed my perspective on, client agent relationships and just the people that I was working with entirely. Because I was like, this person is taking so much energy away that I could be giving this to these other people. And you used to take
it so personally.
Yeah.
I still do. But like, you just have to like constantly just like remind yourself,
And I think, too, to the other point that you said is that a lot of the times now, like when things don't go right, I have been, like my reaction now is a lot more solution-based because I've been there before.
Yep.
I understand what happens here. So now what I do is, and also I think that like the clients, whether they're the buyers or the sellers, are going to appreciate that reaction and to say, okay, like I know things are going wrong right now, but I have this person who is reassuring saying, hey, listen, here is literally the options that we have. So they're not what we had planned for, but let's pivot a little bit. Let's figure out how we can make this work. And then let's keep things moving because we don't want to waste any more time.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you also have to be that like calmness for your client because like, and like, that's another thing. Like I always try to remind myself that like these people, like I try to have empathy as much as like sometimes if they're being jerks or like I just totally think they're wrong, I do
Right,
try to
right.
be
Yeah,
empathetic that like, okay, these people have no idea like what a
Right.
real estate transaction entails, right? Like some of them don't even know like what a down payment means. Like,
Right.
you know, they just have no clue. So it, like
Yeah.
a lot of it might come from ignorance. So like I try to empathize, you know, and just like be the calm in the storm because your clients need that. Like
Yeah.
things get chaotic, things come up. So if you're calm, you know, that energy automatically translates to the client, and I feel like they can trust you more. So when things are, you know, when shit's hitting the fan, I'm always just like trying to remind them like, listen, first thing I say is like there's a solution to every problem.
Yeah.
Let's find the solution to this one.
Yeah.
And it usually works, and they're like, they get quiet on the phone and they're like, okay,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I mean, but if you can't get through to them, like then maybe they just like need their own therapy and like
Right.
just
Yeah.
you can't get through to them,
Yeah,
you know.
and not everybody is going to understand and come to terms with you know what information that you're providing.
Yeah. And there's some things that are just out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a deal a few weeks ago where like a week before the closing, the buyer's house that he was living in
Mm-hmm.
and using as an investment property as income to purchase another home went on fire.
Wow.
Like what are you going to do? Like, you know, the
Yeah.
client's yelling at you and mad at you. Like that's out of my control.
Right,
Like what
right.
can I do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy real estate stuff. What are you going to do?
It is crazy, and I think too to that point is that I also realize that in those situations that sometimes certain people that I work with, they need somebody to blame, and they need
100%.
they need like
Sometimes you just have to be the
right,
punching bag.
and that's
That's a big ego thing I worked on. Like as you get, you know, more mature and like smarter and
Mm-hmm.
just older, you're like, okay, it's fine. Just make me the punching bag. I'm
Right.
wrong. Customer's always right.
right, and like I've had to develop like that mindset to where instead of being like not combative, but instead of being someone that's like trying to actually like get across a very, very good point to them, I'm like, oh,
And you know you're
you
right.
just want to yell right now, and
Yep.
you just want to just express that you're angry. So let me just let you do that, and let me just let you just say,
Yep.
yep, I hear you. No, I understand.
Yep.
Yep, I understand. And then finally, eventually, it's like,
Yeah, it's like being a therapist
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
It
Like
really
we
is.
wear so many hats and people don't realize it.
no.
They don't see this side of real estate.
They see the limelight of it, which is
I mean, I'm like, we're all guilty of it because we post on social media, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, it's part of our business. We're branding ourselves. But,
Right.
you know, like people all the time, they're like, Claudia, you're killing it. Like, I see your videos. Oh my God, you're so busy. Congrats. And I'm like, thank you. I'm happy, obviously.
Right.
But like, they probably didn't see that like yesterday I probably had a mental breakdown.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And then to the social media thing, when did you start incorporating social media into your real estate business, the videos,
Yeah.
everything that you're doing? Because I think like your page is awesome. Like I think that you present yourself very, very well. You speak very, very well. And not everybody, like we were saying, like I'm not saying this in any bad way. And I think people would even understand that because people are just like, they see a camera and it's
Yeah.
like a deer in headlights. They're like, I don't even know what to do right now. And it's like, just talk and
Yeah.
just be yourself. And I know it's tough because sometimes there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But you can see that you're comfortable.
And I wasn't always like
Yeah.
that comfortable. It takes time. But yeah, I mean, like when I first started, like what I was telling you, like one of the things that came to mind when I was like, okay, how am I going to be different? How am I going to be taken seriously? I'm a little younger, right? Like the first thing that came to mind was like, okay, social media.
Yeah.
Right? Like all these agents in my current market that were dominating that market, specifically Secaucus, which is where I wanted to kind of get my first listing and branch off from there. I noticed that they weren't doing anything. Like
Yeah.
they were just putting up a sign a for sale sign in the front lawn, taking photos on their phones, and
Oh my
I
God.
kid you not, like selling $900,000 homes doing that,
Wow.
doing 20, 30 million a year just in that area. I'm like, okay, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if that's my competition, it gave me the confidence.
Yeah, yeah.
And I realized, okay, like, what are they not doing? Well, they're definitely not utilizing social media. And then I also saw social media as a way for people to see that I was in the business, stay top of mind, and also to like, to think that I was busy, right? Like, when I was on social media when I first started, like I would be posting other people's listings and
Yeah.
you know leveraging like maybe like Michelle's listing at my office, and like people I'd go to like I'd see people on like and they'd be like, Claudia, you're so busy, congrats. I'm like, I didn't even sell a house yet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's like it's social media is your virtual billboard. It's where you can tell your story and you know
Yeah.
you can create that however you want. So like the first thing that came to mind was, okay, I'm going to use social media. That's how I'm going to stand out. At the time, like maybe 3 years ago, people weren't really obviously social media was big, but I don't think people were using it as heavily for real estate. And I saw great opportunities to A, market myself, but also to get exposure for my clients. Zillow is getting us 2,000-3,000 views, 4,000-5,000 if you're lucky. I have some videos that have gotten 200, 400, 800,000 views, right?
Wow, yeah.
Like, you don't get that on Zillow. So it's just like a little different. And I think it's something that's cool that now I can mention in listing appointments too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I automatically, when I first started, I was like, social media, I'm going to do that to kind of get my name out there. I created like a listing video about the town, and, I like blasted it everywhere, and it got a lot of traction. And, people definitely knew then, at least in my town, that like this girl is in real estate.
Yeah, right.
And then it kind of like just trickled down from there. The more persistent you are. I was my first listing was a $850,000 two-family. It was an expired listing. It was listed with an agent in the town who's been doing business for 20 years, and she couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
So I was like telling the seller, give me a shot. He was asking me, so what have you sold? And I was like, listen, you don't need to know what I sold. You just need to know that I will sell this home.
Wow.
Because like I am so motivated, and like I have a something to prove, right?
Yeah.
And so he gave me a shot. He liked my energy. Sold it in like a week, cash, and got the buyer.
Wow.
And then, I mean, you can imagine the commission on that. And
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like I'm onto something,
Yeah.
So, and then from there, like he was a raving fan, and which I always preach, like, especially when you're first starting out, but no matter what, like if you're 10 years in the business, 3 years, you should always aim to have clients become raving fans.
Yeah.
And he spread my name or talked about my name in a room of opportunity, then you get another,
Of course, yeah.
So it's just like, I think from there it all just like naturally happens.
Yeah.
If you do things with the right intention, right? And like
Right.
in that moment, my intention was to sell this home for this guy. I was like, there's nothing else I'm doing. Like,
Right.
And I did a cool video, and he was really impressed with that. And yeah, like I use social media really to start my business.
Yeah. I mean, same exact thing. I think social media for me, switching from, people knew me as Corey the DJ. I would DJ some bars and clubs in the area. I would do the weddings, and like I would always post like my brides and grooms and like videos of the weddings, and people were like, "Oh my god, I love it!"
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of people that were reaching out to me to DJ their weddings.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to use social media to change the narrative of Corey the DJ to Corey the realtor. And like that took a little bit of time, and it took a little bit of effort, and the same thing, like almost like a kind of like fake it till you make it thing, where it's like, let me just
100%.
put out as much as I possibly can, because I am now spending a lot more time and energy into real estate. So it took, I would say it probably took about a year for people to stop asking me if I could DJ so-and-so's wedding, to then starting to reach out about like, oh, like, do you work in this area for, buying homes or selling or whatever the case is?
That's the power, like, and like the fact that you can literally create your own narrative.
Yeah. I think that's super, super important.
Yeah.
And then to the other thing that you said too, I didn't realize until probably about 4 years ago how important like client referrals were. And in order to be able to even have that be an opportunity, it's just the experience that like you delivered to them.
Yeah.
So I would say probably 70 to 80% of my business is from referrals of clients. And that's been pretty consistent throughout like these last, especially these last like 5 years. So I just realized like, wow, like that really means a lot in the sense of like these people had a good enough experience to be able to want to refer whoever it is to work with me as well too.
100%. I mean, like the realtors, like the realtors that are good, I mean, let's just say 8, 10, 12, 15 years into the business, like they can have a business just based on referrals and never marketing again properly, never doing social media, not doing any kind of marketing, mail or calls, whatever, prospecting. Like I know people who make multiple six figures just off referrals. They clearly did something right,
Exactly.
And a lot of it starts from the beginning, like when you're building that foundation, which you did, and now you're reaping the rewards of that. It's super, super important. Like, and that's why, like, I think these agents, like COVID agents or whoever, like people got in when the market was easy. Like, if they weren't passionate and they were just there to collect the check, their business is not gonna last past whatever is happening now, and when the market does get more challenging,
for sure,
they're not going to get the referrals, and then they're not going to have any business.
No, I agree for sure.
But that's interesting. 80%, that's like a huge compliment. I'm definitely not at 80%. but I do have a good amount of referrals.
Yeah. And also, too, what I realized was that didn't mean that these people didn't refer me the same year that I closed on their home or if they, bought a home. But it was like 4 years later or 3 years later, and then they reached out. And then that's when I started actually being able to calculate those numbers where I was like, wow, like there's still, and that's also.
You left such a positive impact on their experience that they're still thinking about you 4 years later, which is great.
Yeah. And a big part of that, too, to be honest with you, is social media as far as staying.
Because you stay connected.
Stay connected.
Yeah, that's
and
huge, too.
Commenting on stuff and liking things and seeing them living in the home that you got for them or vice versa. So that's always fun, too.
Yeah. Social media is so funny, like in the way that like clients will just like, oh, I saw that you're doing this or that. Like it's like sometimes it's like, do I want people to know I'm doing what I'm doing, like everything I'm doing? But it is so powerful,
right?
That like I just keep posting.
Well, just like you said, you could change a narrative of who you are as a person so easily, and you can have people now. Let's not pretend that this that social media isn't like a highlight reel of all like the good things. Like not a lot 100%. Of people are going to post sad pictures and stuff. But also too, to your point too, I think for me the only downside to that is like you said too, like as far as like time wise, like I do have kids, so if I'm in a position where I have an opportunity, whether it's to go do showings or whether it's going to, for an appointment or whatever the case may be, with all like the other stuff that happens throughout like the entire transaction, God forbid one of my kids has like a game or this or that, I almost feel like I can't post it because I don't even want to showcase that I have a life outside
even going on vacation.
Oh my God.
Like I've definitely lost business, like posting that I was on vacation and then I come back and I see my client like bought a house and they're like, I'm like, why didn't you call me? And they're like, because I saw you were on vacation.
Yeah. I didn't want to bother you.
I've become very cognizant of like not. I honestly like now I used to think like post both and kind of mix the two, and now I'm a little bit more like just posting business and not so much personal. And I know like there's a big debate in this real estate world about that. Like, should your social media be a blend of both? Because people want to see a human aspect of you and relatability and all that, which I like believe, and that was my thought like always. But more recently, I was like, I feel like gonna like try to keep it a little bit more just like on the business side, and I like how that's going, so we'll see.
I try my best to filter out anything on the personal side, and I've definitely downsized the amount of personal posts since 5 years ago to 3 years ago, just because of that same exact thing as well too. But
people make assumptions and there's like,
I know, it's always fun.
Goals
wise, I got two more things for you. Goals wise, I know when you first probably got into this business, like you were saying, I don't think you realize how much you were going to, shine through with it and take off with it. I know for me, I have a problem with like constantly moving like the goalposts for me. And like I'll get to a certain point and I'm like, oh, this was, what I've worked for, but now I can get to this point. Like financially wise, amount of deals that I close, whatever it is. So that's something that instead of like acknowledging, I'm trying to not, switch that up so much. But do you have goals like for yourself, whether it's getting an assistant finally so you aren't a hot mess like you said, or team wise in the future, or just like, having something where having something that you're working towards?
Yeah. I think I always ask myself, like I go back to my why. Like what I work toward is really just like financial freedom. And to me, like my path to financial freedom was always through real estate. And like I'm a firm believer in like practicing what you preach. So I real estate has changed my life, and I have built a really successful sales business, which has continued to help me reinvest it back in real estate. So for me, like, I want to keep growing the sales business. Every year, I just want to be better than I was the year before, numbers wise. Like, I don't pressure myself too much to hit these like numbers per se. I just want to do better than the year before. And I want to just constantly keep striving for financial freedom, making money in real estate so I can reinvest it back into, investment properties, and just ultimately live a life that, on my own terms, I guess. I don't really think about a team really in the near future. I kind of like just being solo, doing my own thing. Who knows though? I mean, that could change. I would love an assistant. That's definitely on the list. Maybe in 2025. Maybe in 2025.
Okay. I mean, I think that's the best way to do it, because I sometimes, I pressured myself into setting these goals or setting these things like that I was working towards that, like you said, it just puts the pressure on it. And then you start to not focus so much on the overall what you're doing, which is, like you said, just trying to be better than last year, just trying to grow your business, just trying to be able to establish something in this business so eventually you can just live a
keep creating like
life.
genuine relationships. Like that's something I'm always like trying to remind myself. We meet like so many people.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool business. Like, you know, obviously there's the crazy ones that we meet, but there's some really, really cool people that we get to meet, and like some really, really amazing families that we get to help. Like situations where I've had like tears in my eyes, and like that's what keeps me going. You know, to be successful in real estate, you have to be passionate about it.
100%.
You know, like people always ask me like, what advice would you give to like a new agent? And to me, like it would be like, don't start out thinking you're going to make all this money, and like don't start out with the intention to just have money and sell all these homes and have it so glamorous. Start out because you're passionate about it. If you're passionate enough and you create knowledge for yourself and bring value, like the rest will come.
For sure.
You know?
And I think like to that point too, it also shows in just like the state of what real estate is right now. So like you could almost tell the people that from the COVID agents, from the people that got in thinking like, oh, like I'm going to make so much money because I could do this right now. And then that doesn't last forever.
My favorite is like when a client closes on a house with you and they're like, oh, I'm thinking about getting my license now. I'm like, I'm glad I made it look really easy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm here to help. I'll give you where I went to school, but like it's a lot more nuanced and a lot more challenging than people think.
I agree 1,000%. One of the last things, actually the last thing that I had written down, and it was just something that I seen on your social media, and I wanted you to kind of like talk about it a little bit more instead of me trying to explain it. But you have something on there for like a scholarship something, and I thought that was really cool, and just also to be able to kind of touch base on a little bit too.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like success means nothing if I'm not giving back, you know, like I work really hard so that like I can take care of the people that I love. I can give back to my community. I am in a position where I am today because my community and the people that I love support me. So I'm really excited to offer this scholarship to a high school senior, because for me, like I didn't come from money, and I had to send myself to school. You know, like when I wanted to go to college, I have a twin brother. My mom looked at my brother and I and said, listen, if you guys want to go to college, like you have to send yourself, like you have to find a way to pay for it yourself. And college is not cheap. So for me, I had to work hard to get scholarships. And so if I can do the same and now give back and create scholarships and opportunities for other people to help them go to college, it's like a dream of mine. So for me, the goal is to like keep growing that fund every year. You know, this year it's at 3,000, maybe next year it'll be 5,000, 10,000, whatever.
That's awesome.
You know, and I'm always going to look for like different ways to also give back. I think that's just so important. Because like I think in this business, like again, it's so easy to make it look so glitzy and glammy. Like you're making all this money, you pull up in a nice car, you're selling this luxury house. But like there is a human element to it that you have to like really understand. And that comes down to you are in this position because the relationships you build, the families you impact. And, the way you're successful because these people are supporting you. And so you have to give back. Yeah,
I agree. I don't think that obviously we don't have a job unless they're there. And the only way for that to happen is just for that community, for that connection. And then I think it took a little bit of time for me too, but also then just to realize like, wow, it was like a come to moment of I'm in this position because of all these amazing people that I've been able to work with.
I'm going to do another one in June for like the seniors in my specific town.
Okay.
So like scholarship night, that was always a thing, which is like so surreal because I remember sitting on that stage not too long ago. Praying that I would win a scholarship so it could help me.
Did you win or no?
No.
Okay.
So it could help me buy a book. Honestly, the people that won were always like the people who were like connected to the town, and I was never that. You know, I didn't know anyone. Nobody knew my family, so I never won anything. But now it feels really cool to be like on the other side of it, where like I have the power to give it to somebody who I think is deserving of it, not because their name or like who they were, what family they were born into, but because like they're deserving of it. They work hard and they have a good heart and, you know, good citizens of the world, hopefully. But so like I'm gonna do that and hopefully more.
That's awesome.
I saw you did your thing too with the the autism.
Yes. So
that was really nice.
last month was Autism Awareness. My daughter was diagnosed with autism in October, my younger one. Throughout the entire process, very long story short, like it was wild to see the lack of resources
I saw in your post.
Yeah, it was actually like looking back on it, it was number one sad. And then also it was disturbing because I know that what we were going through. So I was like, I can only imagine what some of these other families are going through. Once we got the diagnosis, once we got her set up in all these different therapies, that was like the first thing that I thought about to where I was like, I would love to be able to help out my community on anything that I could do. And I started, just starting off small, I actually, a teacher in Somerville was like the first person that I helped. Like they have like an Amazon wish list of things like for their classroom, was able to get those things and just start there. Then also starting to do like some events and stuff for the community. So it's one of those things where starting small, and then the idea is that it can grow into
Definitely.
Anything.
Yeah.
But awesome. That's everything. I think that this was absolutely amazing. I'm obviously really grateful that you were able to come down here and that you got a little bit lost, but you made it here though, which is good.
Thank you for having me. I could never turn down an opportunity to talk real estate.
Yeah.
And congrats on all your successes as well.
You as well. I'm excited to see things continue to obviously grow for you. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to talk about. Obviously, I would love for people that are trying to reach out or want to reach out to you, whether it's in the area or whatever. You can leave all your.
If you want to sell or buy.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. People can reach out anytime, whether it's real estate related questions, anything. Happy to help.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. That's it. It's a wrap.